I am the master of my abilities, and today is a great day. And while we standing around being broke.
All right, thank y'all for tuning in to today's video. So what we're going to be doing, deep side part, we're going to be using a closure wig, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use the closure wig and to also get the frontal illusion. So in the last video we've already blocked out our measurements. Once again, this is a 21-inch circumference size canvas head. The front to back, it is a 14. The nape is 5 inches, and the temple to temple around, it is 17 inches. I did not include this, but my ear to ear over top, it is 12 inches. And because this is going to be a deep side part, I'm going to show you why that measurement is important as well, or at least if you just know what the measurement is from your temple to your ear. So before we get started, some of the things you're going to need is, of course, you're going to need your T-pins. You're going to also need some traditional sewing pins. These are the round tip, smaller ones like this. So these are essential so that when you are pinning down your lace, we're going to use these in the front. We don't want to use the larger T-pins such as these because it does give us a possibility that we could rip our lace, okay? So we'll use these in the back, but we will not use them in the front of the wig. You're also going to need, of course, your lace. The lace that we're going to be using in this video demonstration, this is the 6x6 Deep Wave HD closure from Raw Hair Exchange. So we will be using this in our video. We're also needles because we are going to be sewing down this closure on the wig, and then also our nylon thread. So this spool of thread, I purchased this from Amazon, and you can also go on Amazon and find this. It's $6.99. And once again, this is nylon thread. You don't want to use cotton thread when you're making wigs, or I don't use cotton thread. In the past I did, but in my experience, the cotton thread is going to knot. So whenever I'm doing a sew-in, whenever I'm sewing down my closures, I'm always using nylon thread. This thread is thinner than cotton thread, and it gives more slip. So it will prevent the knots that you would experience typically when you're using cotton thread. And then also, because we are going to be making our guidelines for this wig, we have here 3 different options that you can use when you're making your guidelines. This here is a sewing pencil. You can purchase this from Joann's or Amazon, any type of craft or fabric store. This here is also a liquid chalk marker. I purchased this from Amazon. You can also get this from Walmart or a craft store. So these are 2 options. And then also I have my metallic Sharpie. So you know where to find Sharpies at any type of drugstore, Walmart. These are readily available. So these are, once again, 3 options that you can use. And in today's video, I'm going to be electing to use the Sharpie. This is typically what I do use to make my guidelines on my wigs. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So with your lace closure, of course, we're going to be applying this to the cap. You always want to make sure that you are evenly applying your lace down and finding the middle. And how you would do that, of course, is just take your lace piece and you're going to fold it in half and make sure that there is even symmetry and everything is aligned on both sides. So here, this is going to be the middle. So I would pin this right in the middle using one of my traditional round tip sewing pins and just place it there. And that represents the middle of my closure. So I know exactly where I would need to align this when I go to place it. I do want us to pay attention to these 2 measurements here. These are the temple to temple. This is 17 inches. The key thing is when you are applying your lace closure, so that you can get the frontal illusion, it is important that you always make sure that you do bring your lace down a proper amount of space from the cap. So you see the cap is here. You want to always make sure, let's say if this was not a deep side part and we were just going to make a regular wig, okay? So when I go to line up my lace on my cap, you want to make sure that you're bringing that down. If this were going to just be a regular wig, I would bring it down maybe like 1/2 inch. For this video, I'm going to bring it down like maybe 1/2 inch to 1 inch on the side where I'm going to have the closure placement. So just always make sure that you are bringing your lace down below the cap so that the wig cap is behind the lace, so that you will have the manipulation that you need with the hairline, okay? So once again, finding the middle of the lace, just like this, taking my traditional round tip pin, placing it right there in the middle, and I'm actually gonna move it up. I don't want it so close to the hairline. So now we know where the middle is. And what you wanna do here is we're actually gonna also start in the middle. So the canvas blocks, they have lines. So I'm gonna be using this center line. I don't know if you can see it because the canvas block is black, but this here is my center line. And where I found my middle of my closure, I'm going to take that and align that with the middle line, okay? Now, once again, this is going to be a deep side part. So now what I'm going to do is tilt this over to my right so that I can go ahead and position this lace down. One thing I do want to also say before we do pin down the closure, I'm just going to pin this here. You're also going to want to make sure you have your measuring tape. I've already measured what the measurement is from my temple to my ear, and it is 3.5 inches, okay? So if this is the temple, you're going to want to get your measuring tape and measure down where your placement is from your temple to your ear. The reason why this is important is because with this deep side part, in order for us to once again have the frontal illusion, we want to make sure that we have enough lace in place so that we can have our sideburns and also for our baby hairs on the side, okay? So that it can once again give us the illusion that it is a frontal. So right here with this pin sticking out, this represents 3.5 inches, okay? So from my temple to my ear is 3.5 inches, and this is where I want the end of my lace to be laid at, okay? So that I can have my sideburns. So I'm just gonna position the canvas block head back. Now that, once again, starting in the middle, okay, then we're gonna go ahead and slide this way. And I'm gonna stop it right here where this pin is, okay? So as you can see there, this is going to represent where the placement of my ear is. And now that I have that measured out, I'm just gonna go ahead and take some pins and stick this in place. Now, what you're gonna wanna do is always, or what I do, is pin down the front and then go ahead and pin down the back, okay? So here, I'm pinning this down. Now I'm gonna go ahead and continue to pin this down in the front. Okay, so if you look here, I have the 6x6 lace closure aligned on the side, and this is where I am going to have my parting space. So if you have the front pinned down securely, the only steps left now is going to be to go around to the back of the lace, and we're going to pull that down evenly. All right, so I'm just adding some more pins here to make sure that it does not move and that everything is still. All right, so now that everything is laid down and we have the front, we're gonna go ahead and flip the canvas block to the back, okay? And on the sides of your lace, there are gonna be 2 corners. I'm going to flip this forward and show you exactly what I mean. See, these are the 2 corners on the lace that I'm referring to, and all you're gonna do is just gently place that down. You are gonna wanna apply a little tension so that everything can be straight, but now that you have the 2 corners, well, let me move my hand out the way. I don't think you all can see. All right, so I'm just gonna get the 2 corners just like this, okay, and just bring that back. So I'm taking my T-pin, putting it in the corner on the right side and pinning it down. And I may have to reposition it. So if you need to reposition it, make sure that you do. The goal is you just want to make sure that the closure is flush to the cap. All right, so now that we have the sides pinned, if you go ahead and flip up the lace, we're gonna check it on all of the angles so that we can make sure that everything is flat down and secured like we need it to be. So here, this is this edge, this is laid down flat. So when we go in to sew, we're not gonna have any problems getting this lace closure flush to the cap. Now we're gonna check the back side. So around the back, as you can see, this is also flush to the cap. I'm just gonna add one pin here in the middle so that it does not move. All right, so this is flush down to the cap. So when we go in to once again sew, we're not gonna have any issues. And now this is the opposite side. So as you see here, there is a little slack in the closure. So we are gonna go ahead and fix that. So I am gonna once again take the T-pins, and what you're gonna do is right where that bulk is, I'm just gonna take the T-pin and place it down. So in the front, you can see that it's already now laying flush to the cap. Now with this same area right here where there is also slack, you're gonna do the same thing. Just once again, lift up the lace, just like that, okay? Take your T-pin in the corner and go ahead and pull it out. And if it does manipulate itself in the back, then just go ahead and adjust it as needed. The lace that I get from my vendor, it does have some stretch to it. So that does allow me to be able to stretch it out and manipulate it like as needed. Different lace vendors or different vendors that you're buying your lace from, the quality of the lace, it is going to vary across the board. My recommendation would be when you are, you know, using laces or trying out different laces, you're going to want to make sure that the lace has a little give in it, okay? So that therefore you'll be able to manipulate it as I just explained. So now that we have everything flush and flat like we need to, I'm going to go ahead and pin the lace closure hair away so that we can do a spin around and see exactly how it is sewn down. Clip so that you can keep the hair out of your way as you're moving along. All right, so looking here, once again, everything is flush to the cap. That's exactly what we want. And we see that the lace is above the wig cap, so it is going to give us that frontal illusion that we're looking for. All right, so once again, this is a close-up. Everything is pinned down, everything is flush just like we need it. So now what we're gonna wanna do is go ahead and thread our needles and sew down our lace, and then from there, we're gonna go ahead and make our guidelines. I have my scissors. We're gonna go ahead and pull out some thread from the nylon spool and make sure that we have enough so that we can tie down our, not tie down, so that we can sew down our closure. And I hope everyone is having a good Sunday. Happy Sunday. I'm in Houston, and where I am, the weather is beautiful. I don't know where you all are tuning in from, but I hope that you are having a beautiful Sunday and that you're taking advantage of the gorgeous weather, or whatever you're doing. I hope that you are enjoying your Sunday. All right, so this is enough thread. I'm gonna go ahead and get the needle. Go ahead and thread that in there. All right, so now that I have my needle, threaded. I'm going to now tie a knot at the bottom. And basically I have the 2 ends of my thread. I'm gonna make a knot here so that the thread does not slip. I'm gonna tie it about 3 times or 2 times. 2 or 3 is good, but I always just tie more than once at least. All right, so now that we have the knot, you see that knot? This is now going to be a part of the trick. When I see a lot of people sewing down their closures, they always start sewing. Let me show you. When I see people sewing down their closures, I always see them starting right here, right where the lace meets the wig cap. So we're not going to start sewing right there. And the reason why is because of this knot. You see that knot? This knot right here, if you start sewing down your lace here, this knot is also going to be here. I don't want that knot right there. I want it to be flushed and flat. So when I start sewing down my laces all of the time, I never start right at the end, okay? I always start at least half an inch back, sew it down, and then go back. So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. So now that we have the needle threaded, make sure that the tripod is locked in place. So I have my needle, my threaded needle, and here all right, so we're going to start sewing right here. Like I said, I always start half an inch from where the lace is on the cap. All right, so now that I have the needle inside, you see that this knot is here. You see that knot is right there? So this is going to give me the ability to once again have a flush closure. So for the remaining portion of the video, I am going to speed this up. I'm not going to be doing a lot of talking. You all just like follow along as I just show you how I go through and sew down the closures. Right here, we have come to the end of the front of the lace, sewing it down. So instead of us stopping the knot right here, where the lace meets the cap, we're gonna go back some and I'm gonna knot it like right here, 1/2 inch up, similar to how I did it when we started. And once again, the purpose of that is to make sure that that knot is not right at the tip. I hate that. Like a lot of times, like that knot is going to not make the wig lay down flat. So I don't put the knot right there anymore. And we have successfully sewn down our lace closure. So looking here, side to side is done. Okay, so this is the back. Everything is flushed down. All right, so we have the closure sewn on. We have it pinned down. It's hand sewn. So the only thing now that we need to do is go ahead and apply our guideline. I don't need a measuring tape, but I am going to have these tracks be 1 inch apart. So as you can see, I already have my measuring system on my dome cap, which I also do have a video on how to create the measuring system for purposes of wig making. Sharpie for making my guidelines. And I always start, of course, from the back. So this right here, this is a inch. So this is one track. This is where the first track is going to start, okay? So I'm just going to make a line right there. So that's our first guideline. Our second guideline, of course, is going to go on the next 1 inch marker spot.
Which is here, also here, and then also here, okay? So when you're making your guidelines, these are once again just guides as to where you can go, you know, with your track placement. The guidelines do not have to be perfect, okay? These are just guides. This is just going to tell you where to go. It's just like a little map that you're making.
Exactly where to go, as far as like where these tracks need to be laid. All right, so for this side, and you see this one there got a little, it got a little off, but see, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I know on the sewing machine when I go, I'm just gonna straighten it out, okay? So with the next guideline, I know for a fact that I am going to have a track that goes sewn right here so that it can be a barrier between the lace closure. So we'll have us a track here.
Okay? And then we're just going to go ahead and follow that track to the next inch mark, which will be right there. So this is a pretty self-explanatory. There's a lot of different ways that you can make your guidelines, but essentially the goal is just to make sure that you know where you're going when you're on the sewing machine.
All right, so the guidelines are on. Everything is 1 inch apart. And we also have our lace closure sewn down. So on the next video, I'm going to show you all how to double your wefts. And then we're going to go into actually like making the construction of the wig. So I hope you all learned something. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. Please stay tuned for the next video in our wig series. Everyone have a good day. Thanks for tuning in.